Our guest is Mr. Ogaga David. But before we start, I'd like every one of us to unmute, introduce ourselves, and just tell us how our day was. So let's start from you, Mr. Ofikat.
Sorry, please, I didn't hear what you said clearly. You said we should unmute our mic and do introduction,
Okay,
right?
so just unmute, introduce yourself, tell us where you joined the call from, and then tell us how your day was, just in less than a minute.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is
Good
Olabi
evening.
Taufika Delutola. I'm joining from Ogun State, Nigeria, and my day was kind of fun and productive.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ofikat from Ogun State. You're welcome to
Yeah.
the call. Then the next person we have Mr. Atewo Jai. Permit me if I mispronounced. Please introduce yourself, sir, and tell us where you joined from.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Timle Hateljai, and I'm joining from Ondo State, Nigeria. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Atewo Jai. So I can see Miss Juliet Nwore. Welcome, Miss Juliet. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us where you joined from?
Good evening, everyone. My name is
Good
Juliet.
evening.
I'm joining from Ogun State.
All right, welcome, Miss Juliet from Ogun State. Miss Jenny Orok, welcome to the call. Please tell us where you're joining us from. Miss Jenny, are you there?
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jenny Orok. I'm joining from Lagos.
Sorry, I didn't get that. You're joining from where?
From Lagos.
Okay, welcome, Miss Jenny from Lagos. Okay, so my name is Nwachukwu Ezieni Success. I'm joining from Silas Farm Lab, Abeokuta, Ogun State, Nigeria, and I'll be the moderator for this class. So, like I said earlier, today we'll be discussing abiotic and biotic factors that affect production. And our guest today is a seasoned agronomist in the person of Mr. David. Permit me, I might not be able to pronounce the third name properly. Esedekimo. He's a Nigerian agricultural professional and advocate who specializes in crop health, crop production, and plant health. He also specializes in phytosanitary techniques, which include hydroponics and alternative substrates. He's also into education and training, where he's actively involved in raising awareness and knowledge around agriculture in Nigeria. He shares practical farming techniques, offers training oriented content, and engages in public advocacy to improve agricultural education in Nigeria. He is the team lead for the Sustainable Youth-led Agronomic Knowledge Transfer Project. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. David Ogaga as he talks about biotic and abiotic factors affecting crop production. Please, I would like us to use the clap emoji to welcome him. Please use your clap emoji. I'm not seeing any emoji. Because if you're not clapping for him, he's definitely not showing up for this call. All right. You're welcome, Mr. David.
Thank you, Miss Success. Hope you can all hear me. If you can hear me, just give a reaction so I can know you can all hear me. Okay. Thank you very much. So, good evening again, once again. My name is Ogaga David, and today we'll be discussing a very important topic with respect to crop production, abiotic and biotic factors. I will say I will simply say non-living things and living things in crop production, because in as much as we are trying to produce, even this world we are living, it comprises of living things and non-living things. So the living things, they cannot stay without the non-living things. That is biotic element or biotic organism, they cannot stay without biotic abiotic factors. So this is the introduction. So crop production is influenced by complex interaction between abiotic and biotic, that is living and non-living things. So for you to have a successful production, it is very important that as a farmer, as an agribusiness person or as an agronomist, for you to develop strategies with respect to abiotic and biotic factors, because those things, they are the kind of foundation of a successful crop production. If you miss one part of it, it's likely that you will not get the right yield, and when you are not getting the right yield, it shows you are losing in business. So I will go to I will be discussing mainly on abiotic factors. So abiotic factors are non-living environmental conditions that influences crop growth, development and productivity. So they determine the physical and the chemical condition under which the plant will grow. So abiotic factors, they are the non-living things that will influence how your plant will behave. Now we have a lot of them. We have climatic factors, we have the soil factor, we have the topographic factor, we have chemical factor, and we also have management and technological factors. Now let's go further. Let's talk on the climatic factors. Now climatic factors has to do with the temperature, the rainfall, relative humidity, light and the wind. Now for let us understand something today, that for any plant to do well, they must be balanced in respiration, transpiration and photosynthesis. These three processes are very very important. If your plant is not respirating properly, if there is no proper transpiration or there is no adequate photosynthesis, that is light when the plant produce food with the help of light, you discover that you have a poor production. Now let's go to temperature. Temperature influences seed germination, respiration, transpiration and photosynthesis, like I said. Now from the layman definition of temperature, temperature is the hotness and coldness of a body. Now if you have low temperature, there is likelihood that you will have delayed fruiting, your plant will not be growing well. If the temperature is too high, you will start seeing sunburn, you start getting flower abortion. I could remember the year 2024, that was last year, when we did tomato production. It was very very hot as at I think month of April. The month of April, it was so hot that the tomato we did, the flowers were aborting. At the end of the day, we had a failed production cycle because of the temperature. Now I will be talking on rainfall. So rainfall determines the water that your plant receive, either excess water or what, deficient water. For example, if there is too much water, there will be waterlogging, there will be nutrient leaching and there will be increased disease attack. Fungi and bacterial disease, dey thrive during rainy season like this. So it is very important that you consider water availability or rainfall. Now if there is no rainfall as a result of drought, it can lead to wilting of your plant, stunted growth, poor yield and even premature leaf senescence. So it is very important for us to consider water availability. Now relative humidity. Relative humidity affect the transpiration rate, pest and disease development and pollen viability. Now if the humidity is high, you discover that like humidity, a layman definition, is the moisture of water in the environment. That is, if there is high humidity, everywhere will be cold, it will be cool. But if there is low humidity, everywhere will be kind of hot. So if there is high humidity, it always encourages fungi and bacterial diseases. That is why during the rainy season there is usually high humidity. That is why you have a lot of fungi and bacterial disease during this time. But during the dry season, the humidity is low, and when the humidity is too low, it starts affecting the plant because there will be increased evapotranspiration, that is movement of water from the root and along the body of the plant. So if there is too much transpiration and the plant is not able to sustain, there's not enough water to sustain the plant, you start seeing the plant wilting, you start seeing flower dropping, and you start seeing the leaves, you start seeing different things affecting your production. So for relative humidity, it said, from science said, from 0 to 20 it is uncomfortably dry. From 20 to 60, relative humidity is measured in percentage. So if you have 20 to 60% humid percentage, that is, it is okay to grow. But once it's above or lesser than this, that is when you start having issues with your production. Another thing is light. Light is very important because your plant use light, water and air to produce food, because without light there will be no what? Photosynthesis. Wind also is a very important factor. Without wind there will be no pollination, and without wind there will be no pollination. I could remember that same 2024, it was high in temperature and the wind speed was very low. Now, if there is no wind, there will not be pollination. Like we all know that most of our plants, they are pollinated by air. So if there is no wind, there will be no pollination, there will be no fruit, and at the end of the day, you will not have anything to harvest. Wind can also influence disease spread and also insect. So wind can carry different insects to your production field and can also carry various disease into your field too. Now, I'll be moving to edaphic factors, that is the soil factor. We have soil texture, soil pH, soil fertility, and soil moisture. So soil texture has to do with the water holding capacity of the soil. So we have sandy, clay, and loamy soil. Now, sandy soil has good drainage, but they cannot retain nutrients. That is why if you plant anything on sandy soil, at the end of the day, because they cannot hold water, they cannot hold nutrients, you see that the plant is not doing well. Soil structure. So it has to do with the arrangement of the soil, how the soil is being arranged. The soil consists of 23% of air, 23% of water, 50% of solid particle, and 4% of organic matter. pH. Now, pH is very important because pH determines the acidity or the alkalinity of your soil. Now, if your pH is too high, you discover that at the end of the day, there are some nutrients that will be deficient. If the pH is too low, you have issues with respect to nutrient availability too. Now, let us note that acidic soil is common in areas with rainfall. That is, let's say the south and the rest. Since there is a lot of rainfall, their soil are prone to be acidic. So you use lime to correct it. While for alkaline soil, let's say in the north, those dry areas, they use fertilizer to adjust the pH so that the plant will thrive very well. So soil fertility has to do with the presence of both macro and micronutrients in the soil. Soil moisture has to do with the water content in the soil. So without soil moisture, your plant cannot do well. Without soil moisture, your plant cannot be able to absorb nutrient or move nutrient. Like for example, calcium. If there's not enough moisture in your soil, your plant will not be able to move the calcium from the root to other parts of the plant, and you end up having calcium deficiency. And calcium deficiency can lead to what we call blossom end rot in tomato production, that is BER. Now let's go to topographic factors. So under topographic, it has to do with the physical features of the head, it has to do with the slope, the aspect ratio, the slope, aspect ratio, and so many other things. Now for slope, slope determines the inclination or the steepness of the land surface. Now, if your land is too slopy, there will be soil erosion, water infiltration. That is, the soil will not be able to absorb enough water because the water is always moving. And if, for example, you want to do mechanized system of farming, because of the slope of the land, it will be difficult for machines to access that land. Also, fertilizer and pesticide losses too. If the land is too slope, you discover that maybe when you apply fertilizer there will be leaching. So aspect ratio has to do with the part, with it has to do with respect to compass direction. That is the amount of the feed receiving sunlight. Although this part of aspect ratio, a lot of farmers do not take it into consideration, but it is very important. So I was opportune to attend a solar training, and we were taught that if you want to get maximum sunlight, you have to install your solar panel from facing the south. That is, it has to face the south, because the southern south the when you put your solar panel with respect to the south, that is where you get maximum sunlight. Now this is a clear indication that if, for example, you are growing sun loving plants such as tomatoes and some other plants, you have to consider the aspect ratio. You can get your aspect ratio. You can use There are a lot of phone apps that you can use to determine your aspect ratio. So you just put your feed facing the south so that you get enough sunlight. Now elevation has to do with height. Now you discover that we have high elevation, we have low elevation. For those in the higher elevation, such as those in Plateau, in Jos, like those parts, that those parts are usually cool, and it usually affects your plant production. There are some crops that will do well in higher altitude, and there are some crops that will do well in lower altitude. So drainage pattern, surface and subsurface water movement. Your drainage pattern affect your crop production, because if your drainage pattern is not okay, at the end of the day you start losing nutrient. There will be improper irrigation, and when there is no proper irrigation, your plant will not be getting enough moisture, and that will affect your production. So erosion intensity and deposition zones. This has to do with how erosion washes away nutrients from your plant. Micro climate formation. It has to do with the local climate pattern. So for valley traps cool air and increasing frost risks. Now dis frost risk, it usually happens in let's say the higher altitude. In So frost is usually recorded in let's say states in Nigeria like Plateau, like Jos, like Taraba, Mambila Highland in Taraba. So you see white crystals. It is when the temperature is below, I think below zero. That is when you start seeing something like that. So that thing they usually see in Mambila Island and the rest, it is not snow, it is frogs. It is frogs. So accessibility and land use planning. This is an important aspect of abiotic factor, because you need to plan how you are using your land. If you don plan how you are using your land, you discover that at the end of the day, you start having issues with respect to your topography, your plan layout and the rest. And when there is no proper accessibility to your land, your production will be having issues. For example, if you want to apply fertilizer, you want to apply pesticide, if you do not plan your land very well, you discover that at the end of the day your land is inaccessible and you cannot get proper yield. Now I'll be moving to chemical factors. So chemical factors has to do with chemical composition that the plant interact with. So I will start with, I think I've discussed soil pH before. We'll move. I've discussed soil nutrient composition before. Then I'll talk on cation exchange capacity. Now it has to do with how your soil is able to hold positively charged ions. Positively charged ions, remember in basic chemistry that we did in school, we have anion and cation. So your soil contain clay particles that is able to what? Trap cations. Cations such as your calcium is cation, magnesium is cation, potassium is cation also. So if your soil have high CEC, it is able to store more nutrients and supply them more steadily. But if there is low CEC in the soil, that is for example sandy soil, they can lose nutrients easily. So soil salinity and solidity. So it has to do with high level of salt that is present in the soil, and solidity has to do with high level of sodium that is available in the soil. And if there is too much salt and sodium in your soil, it can lead to osmotic stress, iron toxicity, and it can reduce germination and poor nutrient absorption. Now, toxic substance and pollutant. Let's say for example pesticide residues, herbicide misuse. These are abiotic factors. They are not living things, but they can destroy your entire production. For example, if you mistakenly spray herbicide on your plant, if you look at this picture now, is an example of a plant that was sprayed herbicide. That is the end of your production. It is not a living thing. The herbicide is not a living thing, but it has destroyed your production. So we have also organic matter and soil carbon content. So soil carbon content and organic matter has to do with decomposed plant and animal materials. Let's say compost. We all know compost. It has to do with you gathering organic matter so that your soil can improve its CEC, there will be better pH buffering and nutrient retention. So I'll move to soil redox potential. Soil redox potential, it has to do with reduction and oxidation status of your soil. Now this will affect the availability of nutrient. For example, if there is reduction can occur to if for example you are supplying nitrogen, you are not really giving the true nitrogen, you are giving your plant nitrate. Now if there is reduction, this nitrate will turn to nitrogen gas and your plant will not be able to absorb it. So it is very important for us to consider our soil reduction and oxidation potential. Soil buffering capacity, it is the ability for the soil to resist sudden change in pH. Like I said earlier, your pH level will affect your production. So if your soil have a good buffering capacity, there will not be easily change of pH, which will improve your production. So fertilizer type, rate and application method, it has to do with how we use fertilizer, how we use our fertilizer. So when you overuse fertilizer, at the end of the day you start having issues. When you underuse fertilizer, you start having issues too. So irrigation water quality, this is one aspect that a lot of farmers dey neglect. So it is very important you check your water, because sometimes if your water contain high salt, if there is high salt, there is high sodium, it can affect your production. So you discover that you start giving the plant nutrients and the rest, and the plant is not accepting the nutrient. It can be as a result of your water quality. So it is very important for you to check your water quality for any feed you are going into production for. So soil microbes, it has to do with the living organism that are in the soil, Hope we can all hear me. If you can hear me so far, let me see reactions. Let me see your reactions. Let me see your reactions. Okay. Okay, yes, okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Thank you. So I will be moving further. So if you have any question, you can drop it on the chat box. You can drop the questions you have on the chat box so that I will start taking the questions immediately I'm done with the presentation. So I'll continue. Management and technological factors affecting crop production. Now, we need to understand that apart from other factors, now we are practicing what they call innovation in agriculture, climate smart agriculture. You cannot discuss climate smart agriculture without including technology. Now, so these are the most important ones. We have farm management practice, input use efficiency, knowledge, skill and training of farmers. Let me go. So for farm management practices, you have to have a robust management practice. Now, management practice is not a biotic factor. It is not a living thing. It is a condition. These are structures. These are things you need to put in place before you produce any crop. So it refers to the planning, organizing and decision making involved in running a farm. So if you do not plan your field very well, at the end of the day you have a failed production. So it is very important for us to plan our field very well. It's important for you to plan how you are applying pesticide, when you are weeding, how you scout, how you are able to derive strategies for you to have a successful production, because every production cycle come with their own challenge. So it is your management practice that will pre-inform you that, oh, by this time of the year there is usually rainfall, so I should prepare myself that there will be a lot of fungi attack, so I will equip myself with what? Fungicide. Dry season is coming, oh, this is when the insects they will start multiplying. I will have a lot of insect infestation, I will experience white flies, I will experience thrips. So what will I do then? I will start practicing integrated pest management in practice. I will start stocking up pesticides that I'm going to use. I will start deriving strategies I will use to control this. Now, input use efficiency, it has to do with you using your input in the right way to get maximum production. Remember that if you overuse a fertilizer, at the end of the day it can lead to toxicity and reduce your yield. If you underuse fertilizer, it can also lead to underusage of the underutilization of input, and at the end of the day you have a low yield. Knowledge, skill and training of the farmer. So a lot of farmers they don't even consider this part, that it is very important for you to gain knowledge. That is why we are even holding this class. So this class is part of abiotic factor in crop production. It is very important that as a farmer you continuously seek for knowledge. In fact, it's important that you get a new information with respect to farming every day. Get information with respect to your market, get information with respect to pesticide use, get information with respect to fertilizer use. Now there are some pesticide that are banned, so if you are not improving yourself, if you are not seeking knowledge, you will not know and you start using those chemicals, and at the end of the day you start destroying the environment. So research, extension and advisory support. These are all abiotic factors. It has to do with agricultural research findings, extension services to improve your output, mechanization and farm equipment use. Now it has to do with using mechanized system of farming. So it is very important that if we say we want to be food secure, we have to go into mechanization. We have to be able to produce enough food. Now when you are producing enough food, you need machines. Now when you are using machines, machines are not living things, they are abiotic factors. So I have to consider all these machines I am using. If I am using a tractor, if I am using planters, if I am using irrigation pumps, I have to consider those things. I have to consider the amount of those things. I have to consider their efficiency. I have to consider how I am using it. Now there is introduction of motorized sprayer. Motorized sprayer does a lot of things for farmers because it reduces their stress. Apart from that, it is less time consuming when you are spraying your plant. Just imagine you have 1 acre and you want to use knapsack to spray it, and you have just one knapsack. My brother and sister, before you carry like 5 or 6 knapsack, you will be tired, and that will lead to what? Pest infestation, and will destroy your crop production. So I will move to technological innovations and digital tools. So currently there are a lot of innovations that has introduce themselves into agric. Now, innovations are abiotic factors in production. Any innovation you are considering abiotic factor. The greenhouse you see people building today, they build greenhouses so that they can be able to control abiotic factor. For example, if I am building a greenhouse, I'm trying to say, okay, if there is a too much rainfall, I can still grow my tomato properly because what? I have a greenhouse. Now, the solaring or the UV of the greenhouse, what it does is it trap the useful sunlight for the plant to use. So those are what? Abiotic factor. The net that you use around is to what? Prevent insects from entering into your greenhouses. So technological innovations are very key abiotic factors. So I have a few here. There is precision agriculture, remote sensing and drones, AI data analysis, internet of things, where you use smart sensors to control things, smart sensors with respect to for example, if I am into irrigation, I can have an automatic irrigation system that uses sensor. Oh, at this particular time of the day, the plant has lost a lot of water. So the sensor will sense that, oh, this plant needs water now, and it will start releasing water for the plant so that uh, the plant will receive enough water and be able to perform very well. So we have mobile apps and digital platforms. So there are a lot of digital platforms currently now with respect to farming. Like there's one I particularly use with respect to insecticide and pesticide. So if, for example, I want to find out the active ingredient of a particular insecticide, I want to know the group. There's this app called IRAC MOA. So it will tell me the group of pesticide. There are also platforms such as Plantis, even your Google Lens. You use your Google Lens to detect even disease and some other nutrient deficiency within your plant. So crop variety and seed quality. Determining your crop variety and the seed quality you use is very important. It is a abiotic factor that will determine the overall success of your production, because if you have poor seed, at the end of the day you have a failed production. So farm infrastructure and logistics, this one is very important, because it is one thing for you to produce and it's another thing for you to sell and to harvest and sell. If you do not have proper logistics and all what you produce you lost them on the field, you will not be able to gain profit, and at the end of the day your farm business will fold up. So farm infrastructures such as storage facility, logistics, so many other things, they are very important abiotic factors. So financial and input access management, it is very important for you to manage your finance and your input, because if you are not managing your finance and your input, you have a failed production system. So if you observe, we've not even start discussing pests and diseases. We are seeing a lot of things that can lead to production failure. So it is very important for us to consider all these abiotic factors. We have also environmental and sustainability management. It has to do with conservation tillage, organic matter recycling, IPM, climate smart agriculture. um it just has to do with implementing new technological advancement and having a proper sustainability management for your plant. So we also have data management and farm analytics. You cannot tell me you are practicing modern agriculture, you are practicing climate smart agriculture without data, because it is data that will give you informed instruction on what to do. Time and labour management. So you have to manage time and your labour, because if you do not manage your labour and your time, at the end of the day you have a failed production system. There are a lot of farms that are fold up because they could not manage their labour. Maybe the farm workers dey run away, or the farm workers that are currently working, they could not match the level of production, or even maybe you have too much workers with less work to do. It can lead to the failure of your farm, because you are not using a factor of production, that is labour, effectively. So in summary, before you start a farm or you invest in agriculture, ensure you consider every abiotic factor and understand your limitation, and plan your strategies to achieve dis thing. So thank you so much for lis ten ing to me. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm done with it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So any question? Any question? Let me open the.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ogaga David, for that wonderful class. So, we have one question here from Emerald Farmer, and he's saying, "Where can I get the water quality test done?"
You said? You said? Please repeat the question.
Mr. Ogaga, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Emerald Farmer is asking where he can get the water quality test done.
Okay, how can he get the water quality test done?
No, I think he's asking where.
Okay, so with respect to that, for now, I don't really have any place that is close with respect to water quality test. But you can test your water quality. You can use a pH meter. There's this water quality tester that you can use. It is available. You can buy it. You don't need to go to a lab. They are always available.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. So the Emerald Farmer, okay, he's no more on this call, but I hope he gets his question answered. Please, is there any other person that has a question? Mr. Tewo Jaye, you're raising your hand. Do you have a question?
No, no.
Okay, okay. Does any other person on the call have a question? Okay, Mr. Mubi, I can see your hand. Mr. Mubarak Olajide. Please, if you're raising your hand and you have a question, can you please unmute and ask your question now?
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My question is, Mr. David Ogaga stated some apps. He stated some apps whereby we can get information regarding, you know, pesticides and their active ingredients. I didn't quite get the name of the app he mentioned, so I would like him to give reference to it once again. Perhaps if he has more than one or two of it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you
Mr.
hear me?
Ogaga, did you get his question?
Yes, I got his question. But can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So for the apps for pesticide, so the thing is, the app is will
Mr.
not.
Ogaga, we can hear you. He's asking about the apps you mentioned earlier on the call. He said he didn't get it.
Oh,
All
okay,
right.
so that's what I'm
Yes, we
explaining.
can hear you.
Okay, so the app you can use, the app is IRAC MOA, Insecticide Resistance Action Committee MOA. Just go to your Play Store and download IRAC MOA. There you'll be able to see. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, so that's it from Mr. Taiwo. Is there any other person that has a question? You can unmute and ask now.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Ogaga. Thank you for the
Good evening,
presentation so
Mr.
far.
Mubi.
Uh, so my question goes like this. It's not. My question goes like this. Can nutrient imbalance contribute to the short shelf life of a farm produce, sir?
Okay. So nutrient
I
imbalance can lead
okay.
to, yes, it can lead to the shortness of the shelf life of a plant for a plant. Now, you can for plants we have both micro and macro and micronutrients, right?
Yes, sir.
And if, for example, your plant is short of potassium, especially potassium, you discovered at the end of the day, the plant, the fruit you harvest from that particular plant, they will get spoiled on time. So it is very important you have a balanced nutrition system for your plant, because if your nutrition system is not balanced, at the end of the day, your fruit will have a short shelf life. It's more of it's still like, let's say, for human being, for example, if you don't eat good food, at the end of the day you will die on time, because you start having different diseases and the rest. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Is there any
Shed
other
more
question?
light on this. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Has a question, please ask. You have a question? Okay, so in the absence of any
Yes, yes,
question,
yes, yes.
okay, Miss Jenny.
Success, I have a question. Okay, good evening,
All
sir.
right, please go ahead and
So
ask.
my question is, you know how they say when you're pouring in your nutrients, basically, you have to start with calcium first because you spoke about BR. So I wanted to ask, the whole fact that sometimes we do not follow the right procedures of pouring in our nutrients, do they also affect, because I know the weather also affects the plants
Yeah.
from having, when they have BR, uptaking calcium, and it causes MBR. So the way we pour our nutrients into the tank, do they also affect the plants of, I mean, their ability to uptake minus temperature? Because the weather can affect it, we know that, but the way we apply it, probably we just apply it, probably putting calcium, magnesium, or any other nutrient first before applying this, pouring in this calcium. Do they also have effect on our plant uptaking calcium when they are supposed to uptake it? That's when you are feeding them nutrients.
Okay. So with respect to that, there's what we call tank mixing. That is why they said add calcium first, then you add what? NPK before you add magnesium. Now, if for example you add calcium and you add magnesium, if you want to you can even do a little test. Calcium nitrate and magnesium sulfate, if you pour them in the same bucket and you add water, you just see milky, what is it called, you just see it turn to milk, and that shows that the plant will not be able to accept it. So it is there's a rule for tank mixing. That is why they ask you to add calcium first, you add NPK, then before you add magnesium sulfate. Hope you understand now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Is there any other question? Because I don't want the class to exceed 9 o'clock.
Okay, so we have just 10 minutes to end the call. While we would have wanted to entertain more questions, but unfortunately, we'll have to end the call now. So, for people that used to think that production is all about put your seed in the ground, water it, it grows, then the next time you now come and harvest and go and sell. So, you now see that it's not just about your seed and soil and water. There are other factors that affect your crop production, and I believe Mr. Ogaga has done justice to that this night. So please, can we appreciate Mr. Ogaga with our clap emoji? That's if your emojis are not busy. My own is not. Please, let's appreciate him. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogaga. And thank you to every other person that joined us on this call this night. We really appreciate. So this is more like in a series. We'll be holding another session, but with a different topic. So do well to join in again while another aspect of crop production. With this being said, do have a lovely night. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. And I believe that you change your mindset about crop production and probably would do better with our management. Do have a great time. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.